Hey guys, Alex from 7th Hour Films back again with Broadchurch. Last time around, we left off on a cliffhanger. Where the jury had reached a verdict. It was not a unanimous decision, but they had reached a majority ruling, and it was time to decide the fate of Joe Miller. And then they cut. Because of course they did. Of course they left that off on a cliffhanger. There were also more questions with Sandbrook. Claire turned in the pendant and told Hardy that she stole it. And so Hardy is keeping her in sight, which means keeping her in the courtroom where all of this is happening. It is the courtroom where it happened. There's a reference. Anywho, it's the end of the season. I'm curious to see how this is going to wrap up. So why don't we just go ahead and jump right into this episode of Broadchurch. Here we go. Well, I'm pretty much left the exact same as last time. I'm pretty much left exactly the same as last season, where it's like, what do we do now? You know? But I'm sorry, I'm gonna occasionally be looking over here. My laptop is sitting over here, and I'm having it do stuff, so I'm kind of slightly keeping an eye on it. But yeah, anywho, yeah, I'm kind of sat here what do we do? At least with last season, you could there was the possibility, even though it was not something I ever thought about. There was at least the possibility that, you would go back to the Sandbrook stuff. That was kind of left open. They didn't really set up that we were going to do that, but it was a possibility, definitely. And then, obviously, Joe's trial. So both of those things were possibilities. They're not something that you think about. They're not something that you would expect at the end of last season. But here, I'm sat here again I don't know. What are we gonna do? Because we have basically resolved both of unless now we get the trial of Lee, Claire, and Ricky. I don't know. You know who I feel the most bad for? Kate. Well, and also Pippa for, dying, but Kate, the fact that she just the fact that she was completely innocent in all of that. She was completely innocent in all of that. And Lee, it's such an interesting thing watching the characterization of Lee throughout this whole season, and then seeing the flashback, seeing what actually happened, because there's such a difference between them, because he starts, he's very cold and sort of hardened and bitter, with Hardy and everything. But then you see the flashback, as soon as Lisa's dead, he is a nervous wreck, He is a nervous wreck, but then that starts to change after he kills Pippa. It's just... So yeah, that was crazy. So, we now have the truth about Sandbrook. That Lee was banging Lisa. And not in a bed or on the couch, just on the plywood. And man, these British shows, I gotta say, sometimes they'll just be a butt, and you just have to deal with that, and that's happened before. I mean, it's ironically, it's on the British shows where what's her name is on it. What the hell is her name? Eve Miles. That's it. I swear, I keep watching shows with her where there's just a man's butt in camera, So, I don't know. So yeah, but and I'm just referencing Torchwood because that just happened on Torchwood a lot, So, anyway, but yeah, But TVMA, so that happens. Not like they're showing butts on Doctor Who, so... Right. I, like, went through every episode of Doctor Who just now. It's like, was there ever, like, one scene? But no. So, yeah. Anywho, Lee was banging Lisa. Lee and Lisa. This is weird and whatever. So there's that. And then Ricky was watching for like 15 minutes. And then he got angry and he killed her. I mean, and you know the thing too, it's exactly, well, not exactly the same, but it's very similar to how Joe killed Danny. That, and I like that. I like that little detail. Oh, excuse me. I like that detail that it is very similar to how Joe killed Danny. That he was thrown into a fit of rage, and it was genuinely an accident, you know? It was genuinely an accident, so... Damn, man. It's crazy. And then... Pippa heard everything, thought that Lee killed Lisa... So Lee had to go suffocate her, and Claire is involved in all of this, so... And Lisa, that was a crazy thing, too, that Lisa was buried pretty much at a grave. Just buried her in a grave and just covered it all back up. No one will notice. That was a lot. That was certainly a lot. I mean, just this whole case is so complicated that honestly now it's like I can't even, I don't know, like like trying to go to past details now, like my brain has to like work like 8 times now. It's like, oh, because I just remembered the moment, you know, why wouldn't Ricky want an investigation reopened in the death of his daughter, you know? It's like, oh, well, that's why. And I mean, good. This is a word. If I'm doing this, we're talking relative. Good on Claire for, you know, doing the whole thing, and like, oh well, if you do anything, I know where the flask is, which will implicate you. And it's like, oh damn, because they didn't know. He didn't know that Lee was the one who killed Pippa, so he would have been caught in 2 deaths basically. So. Give me a sec, folks. Sorry, I'm just doing stuff on my laptop, which is why I'm just getting kind of distracted. But I just started a new thing on my laptop, so I'll be good for the rest of this video. So, yeah, I mean, it's just so much. So complicated. Man, okay, I know a couple episodes back we had our message of don't, and that still applies. That's still the overall message to get from this show, but one of the biggest, like, most poignant messages that Chris Chibnall wants you to learn. Stay away from your neighbors. My God, stay away. Stay away from your neighbors, man. 'Cause you don't know. One of them might start meeting your son and then accidentally kill him. Or one of them might bang your niece and then you'll be thrown into a fit of rage. Or you'll start banging their niece and then your neighbor will be thrown into a fit of rage, kill their own niece, and then just everything spirals out of control from there. For the love of God, stay away from your neighbors. Oh, that's our big takeaway from this one. Stay away from your neighbors. The good news, for me at least, I live in Oklahoma. Nobody talks to their neighbors in Oklahoma. I had a teacher one time who, when she moved here, She told us a story one time that she moved here and she was like, I guess I gotta introduce myself to my neighbors and stuff. And her dad was like, I've lived in Oklahoma for 30 years and I've never talked to any of my neighbors. And boy, howdy, it's true. Can I just tell you? Shout out in the comments. Do you talk to your neighbors? I pray to God now that you don't, because I'm gonna be paranoid about that for the rest of eternity. You know? So yeah, that's it. And I like that. I like that Hardy was able to get to Ricky as well. Of like, I've put 2 years into this. It nearly killed me, but it was right when he said, "My daughter was Pippa's age. My heart went out to you because I understood it. I got it." But no. And, okay. So I know this show is not legally accurate. I know there are a lot of inconsistencies. Now, it's not horrible. I've seen legal shows that are worse. But I know, like, every episode I'll get a comment talking about the legality, the legal realism, I guess, of this season. So there's a lot to be desired in this season. But I love the juxtaposition of the two lawyers who are working on the Broadchurch case. You have Jocelyn and Sharon, and they are, top tier lawyers, Even if I disagree with stuff about Sharon, I still am like, you know what? Alright, she is a damn good lawyer, She's definitely like, she's like Saul Goodman in denial, Meanwhile, Jocelyn's out here like Kim Wexler or Charles McGill, So that's at least something. But the juxtaposition between the Broadchurch lawyers and the Sandbrook lawyers is hilarious. Because Lee and Ricky had lawyers with them. They didn't say a thing. It was so bad. So bad. Like, they are pretty bad lawyers, Can you imagine if Sharon was in there with Lee and she would just go through every single thing? Nope. Just, we are not doing any of that. Even if they have the evidence, sure. No. And now, switch. Let's flick that switch back over to Broadchurch. Okay. 10 people are idiots. Because it has to be a majority of 10. Which, I guess in that case, that must be like what we call in Congress I say that like I'm in Congress, but we here in the States in Congress call a supermajority. Has to be at least 10. It was not a unanimous decision. That's at least good. I want to know. I want to meet the two people who said no, guilty. I want to meet them because they're the real deal, But a majority of that jury chose not guilty. Somehow, Sharon's shoestring story, and say that 5 times fast, shoestring story, somehow convinced 10 of the dumbest people on God's green earth that Joe was innocent. And not only convinced them, but convinced them against Jocelyn. Like, no. Are you kidding me? And I did like... I like that moment where Hardy just, goes off on it for a second. It's all bloody idiot people, Like, and that's the thing, like, he's in the process of arresting Claire, so he's already emotional about everything that happened with the pendant. And then he just goes and he just like... just lets it all out, and Tess is just like, oh, fuck, what happened? No. Tessie's not even that invested in the case, but still, she's like, oh no, don't tell me. And I mean, that's the thing. That's the thing is, they talk about, because they talk about, like, oh, the nobility of being a lawyer and stuff, and that's very Chuck McGill from Better Call Saul, The law is sacred! But, that's the whole thing. But it's like, no, it honestly is what Sharon describes it. It is an awful game. It is so terrible. But that's what it is. It's a terrible game. And she won, Now, that doesn't mean justice doesn't exist within the justice system. It just means if you're gonna play, you basically gotta play for keeps, Joe was found not guilty by a majority of the dumbest people on Earth. And the only way to get an appeal would be if there was new evidence, which that's just not gonna happen. That's just not gonna happen, so... I feel like it's been a long season. Like, honestly, like, now that we're here at the end, I'm looking back, I'm like, damn, this has been a long season. It's ridiculous. But there is another way of getting some justice, because what Joe wanted was to return to his old life, and they are not letting him do that. They literally banished him from Broadchurch. And it was a whole town effort, That was good. And from the sound of it, it was Paul's idea. And then he got Mark and Nige to go round up Joe. So... Run away, Joe, and never return. Oh my god. It's essentially what it is. It's essentially what it is. It's the Lion King. Just run. The only thing we're missing, because I'm always, I'm quoting Scar saying that from the Lion King, but if you go with the end of the Lion King where Simba throws it back at him and he's like, run away, Scar, and never return. The only thing we're missing at that point is Joe being eaten by hyenas. Which I don't think... I'm going to take a wild guess and say there are no hyenas in Britain. Let me know, though. That'll be the next... This is... I love figuring out, what's going to tell me that you've watched the discussion. Sound off. Are there hyenas in Great Britain? I don't think there are. I don't really know where hyenas... Oh, I mean, Africa. There's that. But... that's all we're missing is Joe being eaten by the hyenas. And I love... and again, if there's anybody to make you feel guilty about what has happened, it is Beth Latimer. That was so good. It's just... If you had one shred of humanity left, but you don't. You never have, because you're a murderer. He was found innocent by a group of morons. That does not mean you are actually innocent. In the eyes of the law, sure. But in the eyes of the people of Broadchurch, hell no. You go to a halfway house in Sheffield. Well, there was at least a victory. The Sandbrook case has ended. The correct people were arrested. Pray to God that Sharon doesn't defend them. Hope that Sharon doesn't defend them. And then... There's so much. And Joe, while he may be walking free, he is not welcome in the town of Broadchurch. And I feel like he'd have to leave. Actually, that would be really funny if it's like, oh, where am I going then? It's like, well, Lee Ashworth had a house in France. he's not going to use it anymore, so might as well let you use it, so... What are we doing next season, man? What are we doing next season? I have no idea, but I'm excited to find out. And with all that being said, I'm Alex from 7th Hour Films, and I will see you guys next time. Take care. Alright guys, thanks for watching this video. There's a bunch of links on screen if you want to go click around any of those. There's a playlist for all of my Broadchurch reactions, as well as another video you can go click on if you want. There's also a subscribe button and a Patreon button on screen, as well as other links in the description if you want to go check out any of those. See you guys later.